Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing ateez's discography. Pretty self-explanatory. Just a quick disclaimer, this is just my opinion, but we all already know that. Also, this does not include like Japanese versions of pre-existing songs and or like remixes or anything like that, just like their typical Korean releases. So let's get into the video. Treasure Episode 1, All to Zero, is one of my least favorites, honestly. It's a solid debut, and I like how dramatic Pirate King and Treasure are, but all of the B-sides are pretty basic to me, and they're pretty much just like beat drop songs that are just, they sound very basic, so I just don't really like them, and I don't really get a very strong, like, distinct vibe from this album. It's honestly kind of forgettable, so, eh. Treasure episode 2, 0 to 1, is pretty good and I like it a lot more than their debut. Say My Name was actually my favorite AT title track for a while, so that song definitely has its place in my heart. Holla Holla is good too. And I have to give a shout out to Desire because I feel like I always hear songs about like loving yourself or loving other people, but I never hear songs about like loving your desire. So I just thought that was super unique. Um, I love light. It just sounds so like cute and pleasant, and it makes me feel like I'm like floating on a cloud. So, yeah, and Promise is like super hype and fun and very like 80s like. So yeah, this mini album feels like a lot more them, and it kind of has like the range of like more chill songs as well as like the more hype performance based songs, which is like what they're known for. So yeah, I like it a lot. I ended up liking Treasure episode 3, One to All, a lot more than I expected. Like, I don't know, I was kind of like, okay, there's like the bright summery songs that I've heard bits of before because they've like performed like a bunch of them, like a lot of places. So I'm like, I kind of had a general idea of what they sounded like, but I did not expect myself to like these songs as much as I did. Yeah, I just love this mini album. Like, it's very summery, but not in like a basic or like overdone way. No skips. I love it. Treasure episode final, All to Action, is my one true love. This album is responsible for like my favorite AT song of all time, Mist. So, yeah. I just love that song and I love like the R&B vibes of this album as well as Dazzling Light, Win and Thank You and Sunrise. These songs are so good and I love that this album shows like their more vocal side, but like Wonderland is still one of like their most like hype songs and it like just encapsulates that energy we've been talking about so well. So I just think this album is really like dynamic and I just love listening to it so much. Treasure Epilogue Action Answer is pretty okay. I like Horizon and the fact that they made Precious into a full song. And like the futuristic vibes in this are nice, but other than that, it doesn't really stand out to me that much. Zero Fever Part 1 is full of songs that had to grow on me. Like, I liked the mini album upon first listen, but for one reason or another, a lot of these songs just like carved their way into my brain. Like, I liked Inception when it came out, like I said, but when I heard Jongho's Every Night in Love ad-lib after the bridge, I just started listening to this song so much more. And I also love how cinematic it is. Like, of course, there's songs like Wonderland and Holla Holla, etc., feel really dramatic, but this one feels like it's like from a movie and it's like, I don't know, it's just cinematic rather than like that typical like dramatic in your face hard hitting AT song. I became obsessed with Thanks because of the fan chant, which is so weird, but it's just really catchy. I also started listening to Fever so much, and I always love to the beat. So yeah, that is like one of the songs where I just like hear it and I'm like, I absolutely need to watch them perform this because it's gonna be so much better. And yeah, the only song that I don't really like on this album is Good Little Boy. I don't know. It feels like a song that they started making like in preparation for the Action the Answer album, but it wasn't ready in time. So once they finish it, they just put it on this album. Like, I don't know. It just kind of feels out of place with the other songs, but you know, it's whatever. Lastly, we have Zero Fever Part 2. It's already been 2 months and these songs have yet to grow on me. So I don't know if I just don't like this album or what is going on, but I like Fireworks, but it's really not my favorite title of theirs. I don't know. It doesn't feel like overly distinct. Like it's like, okay. Like when it came out, it's like, yeah, that's an ateez song, but it doesn't feel like, wow, this is so like new and different. The Leaders is like to the beat, but not as good. I appreciate the saxophone and Take Me Home, but that's about it. I don't really like Celebrate, and I don't know. It's just like these songs, like when I listen to them, I'm like, yeah, they're okay, but none of them are really like, I love this song, you know? So, oh well, what can you do? Overall, I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I haven't really heard that many people talk about their B-sides or like the quality of their music overall. So I was kind of just expecting it to be sort of like mid or like average or just like not really anything to write home about. But I ended up really liking it. And I felt like rather than establishing like a group sound that's like super unique and distinct, they kind of went for a different sound on every album and it made it like it showed off their strengths in a way that wasn't super like predictable or boring. And I like how you can like see the progression in their music. Like when you listen to the full-length album and hear When, you're like, "Oh, that's a cool song." But then when you listen to the following mini album with Answer, you can see how When influenced those songs and like how that's kind of the direction they decided to take going forward. Or even how like Light influenced like the next mini album of kind of like more chill summer songs and like so on and so forth. So I just really think that it feels like it feels complete when you listen to their music. Like it feels like there's progression and like they're trying new things and like moving in good directions. And another thing is like whenever like a lot of K-pop albums have like intros or like outros that are just like not really a full song but kind of like, you know, like a mood sampler like gets you into like the vibe. But the ateez ones were so good, like especially for their debut mini album or even for the answer not answer for the Wonderland album. Like it just feels so dramatic and like the music it like gets you like in the mood, so I really really love those. And also I just thought it was so genius how at the end of the Win album you can the Win album, it's the Wonderland album, whatever, you can hear like a bit of Answer and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the next title track. Like again, it just feels all very like interconnected and I like the progression like I was saying. My only complaints are that I didn't like some of their songs, but like that's like to be expected. Also, their vocal line, it's not bad. Like all of the members hold their own and they sound good when they're singing. But I just feel like there's a lot of like reliance on Jongho. So like whenever they go on tour, like I feel like it's gonna put a lot of strain on him specifically. Like it's hard for all of them obviously, but I feel like it'll just be hard for him in a different way. So I don't know. I do wish that it was kind of more balanced, but I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. So yeah, I give ateez's discography a B plus. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.